Have you ever felt completely stuck at a crossroads, just tangled up in confusion, especially when it comes to a really difficult relationship? Well, you are definitely not alone. In this explainer, we're going to dig into that feeling, drawing on some incredible insights from Sobia Noreen to help find a clear path forward. For so many, it all starts with this one heavy question. Wapas jana hai ya nahi? Should I go back or shouldn't I? And right behind that question comes this overwhelming feeling. Itna mushkil kyun lag raha hai? Why does this feel so impossibly hard? This is the very heart of indecision, that crushing weight when a choice feels just too big to make. Now, before we go any further, it's really important to share a disclaimer from Sobia Noreen. Every single couple's journey is different. Their history, their backgrounds, how they see the world, it's all unique. So the ideas we're talking about today are specifically for tackling that feeling of being stuck, that indecisiveness. This is all about building your own mental stability and personal empowerment. So, how do we get unstuck? It all starts by solving a little mystery about our own minds. When something happens, do we just react? Or is there a secret, hidden step that happens in between the event and our emotional response? The answer, my friends, is the key to everything. To see what I mean, let's use a super simple example from this session. Picture this. You look out the window and you see that it's raining. Badish. That's it, just a simple fact. And here's where we find that hidden step. The rain is the trigger, right? But it doesn't directly cause your reaction. Nope. In between, there's this hidden engine, your mind's processing. And depending on your memories, your culture, even your mood that day, that engine decides what the rain means. For one person, it means craving pakoras. For someone else, it means rushing to close the windows. And for another, it might trigger a wave of nostalgia. Same rain, totally different reactions, all because of that invisible step in the middle. So, how exactly does this hidden engine work? Well, let's look at the first powerful tool our brain uses. It's all about the stories we tell ourselves. The technical term for this is meaning making. And this slide shows it perfectly. Take a look. In situation A, you see an orange and a knife. Instantly, your brain creates a meaning, snack time. But in situation B, you have the same orange, but this time with a pen and paper. Suddenly, the meaning completely shifts. Now it's an object to draw, or something to write a poem about. The orange itself didn't change at all, but the story your brain told about it did. And this right here is the absolute game changer. Meaning making is that process where our brain takes something that happens on the outside and wraps an internal story around it. And listen closely. It is the story, not the event itself, that actually creates our emotions. We are all meaning makers, every single one of us. Let's bring this right back to relationships, where this gets really intense. An action, like your partner hiding their phone, is, on its own, just a piece of data. But our meaning-making engine can quickly assign it a story, a meaning of disloyalty. And that story is what unleashes the very real, very painful emotions of fear, anxiety, and distrust. We're not reacting to the phone, we're reacting to the meaning we just created. Okay, on to our second tool, which works hand in hand with the first. Let's call it the spotlight of your mind. The technical term is abstraction, but honestly, thinking of it as a spotlight makes so much more sense. It's all about what your mind chooses to focus on in any given moment. Here's another fantastic example from the session. Let's set the scene. A child is just sitting quietly. She's not ready for school yet. That's all we know for now. Now, if you're using a narrow spotlight, what we call limited abstraction, what do you see? You see the uniform that's not on, you see the clock ticking, you see the undone task, and because that's all you're focusing on, the reaction is almost automatic. It's a command. Why are you being so lazy? Hurry up. But what if we widen that spotlight? This is expanded abstraction. We consciously decide to look for more information. We consider the unseen possibilities. Is she feeling unwell? Is she worried about something at school? Did she have a bad dream? Our focus shifts from the external task to her internal world. And look how the reaction totally changes. It's no longer a command, it's a question. What's on your mind? Is something bothering you? This brings us right back to that painful moment in a relationship when you feel completely unheard. When a partner says something dismissive like, "You just have to be silent," it's often a perfect example of a limited spotlight. In that moment, they are only seeing their own stress or their own point of view. They literally aren't seeing your emotional reality. It's a failure of expanded abstraction. So, we have these two incredibly powerful tools, meaning making and abstraction. The big question is, how do we use them to build our own inner compass and finally move out of that confusing fog and into some real solid clarity? Here's the diagnosis of that confusion. That feeling of being torn in two isn't random. It happens because your brain is literally at war, fighting between two incomplete pictures. It's swinging wildly between a purely positive fantasy version of the relationship and a purely negative, painful memory of it. Both are limited views. This slide shows us exactly how to end that war. On the left, you have the limited good view. This is my own home, my space, my things. In the middle, the limited bad view. He was distant, he was cheating, he was hiding his phone. Both of these things can be true, but on their own, they're incomplete. The real power is on the right, in the realistic view that combines them. This was my home, and in this home, I felt both comfort and deep pain. That integrated picture, that's what dissolves the black and white thinking that keeps us trapped. So what can you do starting today? First, a big one. Don't rush a decision when you're feeling anxious. Instead, do stop and take a look at your in-between mechanism. What stories are you telling yourself? Don't just focus on the good memories or just the bad ones. Do the work to build that full, realistic picture. And a fantastic question to ask yourself to get started is, what else might be true here? That question is your key to expanding your spotlight. And this leads us to the real point of all this. True empowerment isn't really about finding the one right answer. It's about doing the internal work. It's about building an inner process, that inner compass that is so strong and so clear that no person and no situation can ever shake you from it. Your past does not have to write your future. The real power is in that in-between mechanism, and that's something you control. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what new, realistic story will you begin to tell yourself starting today? This explainer was based on a session by Sobia Noreen, and some ideas may have been adapted just a bit for clarity. If you'd like to dive deeper, book a counseling session, or you just have questions, please feel free to reach out using the email or phone number on your screen. Thank you so much for tuning in.